The medical cannabis, they were talking about the oils before. That's not always the appropriate route for a patient. For it to be absorbed in a system, what if you have problems where you can't use your digestive tract? What does a patient do in that case? And, medical cannabis is used to treat many digestive orders. As a matter of fact, one of the treatments is for for patient wasting. When patients are nauseous and they're vomiting and they cannot eat, how are they supposed to swallow something and have it digested in their system, especially for patients who are on chemotherapy and radiation? That's not an appropriate route for them. That's the last thing that you would want to do for a patient. So I just thank you for letting me respond to that. Sure.
And this is for Kathy. What changes if Amendment 2 does not pass?
Amendment 2 does not pass. Florida legislators did not want to deal with this until 2016. By then, the federal government will probably already make cannabis legal, and we will be behind. We will be behind. I think it's time for Florida to be at the point of this issue. I mean, we have the doctors, we have the knowledge, and we have enough people in this state that we can do this. The more that this passes, the more of a message we are sending to Tallahassee. Every vote for Amendment 2 is a vote for a patient. A patient's right is not only about being out of pain, it's quality of life. I have a better quality of life because I use cannabis. And the street cannabis is not the same as medical cannabis, because I grow my cannabis on my pool deck. And my cannabis is very healthy. It does not have any mold, it does not have any mice, it does not have any problems. I grow it legally on my pool deck, and I'm the only one that can. It's only semi-legal, although I was informed that one myself. My garden is not totally legal. It's semi-legal. Now I have medical necessity, but my medical necessity, my garden is only semi-legal.
What happens if Amendment 2 doesn't pass is Kathy and Robert are still able to grow their cannabis on their pool deck. If Amendment 2 passes, they will not be able to do that because it's not written in the amendment. We have Florida statute. I'll say it again if anyone would like to Google it. It's Florida statute 893. It's been around for several decades. Kathy's actually alluded to it. It's called Doctrine of Medical Necessity. You do not have to be arrested before this happens. It's a certification that we've explained up here about what a certification or a recommendation is, provided you have that from your physician, which there are physicians in this state that are doing that. In fact, I believe Kathy's actually under that, which she said right now. You then have access to marijuana if that is what you and your doctor, in your important doctor-patient relationship, decide is best for you. So what happens if Amendment 2 doesn't pass? We go on with business as usual in the state of Florida with medical marijuana already being allowed here. In fact, Rohrabacher-Farr, a federal amendment that was put on earlier this year, in May of 2014, they recognized Florida as a medical marijuana state, and that was prior to Senate Bill 1030 being signed into legislation. Therefore, that even speaks that on the federal level, they know that Florida is a medical marijuana state. We just continue to go on being able to do what the Jordans are able to do if Amendment 2 doesn't pass.
Next question. I know about Charlotte's Web. What other ailments besides seizures can it be helpful for? Dr. Dage, did you take that one?
Could you repeat that? No, I'll take the question. Could you repeat that one more time?
I know about Charlotte's Web. Excuse me. What other ailments besides seizures can it be helpful for?
Okay, well, in Senate Bill 1030, which we have already, it says it can be used for cancer patients, it can be used for the seizures like we talked about, and it can be used for severe muscle spasms. So because of that, it can be used to treat paraplegia, it can be used to treat multiple sclerosis, because those people develop spasms. Cancer, not only does have some anti-tumor properties, but it also has effects on as an antiemetic, anti-nausea. So there are a lot of properties which marijuana is helpful for. It may be helpful in post-traumatic stress disorder in our veterans. And you know, when Senate Bill 1030 was passed, it was somewhat limited, and we can agree, just as John Morgan said, that Amendment 2 has its flaws. Senate Bill 1030 has its flaws too. But you know what? We can go back and we can amend and we can add. It can be added to cover hepatitis C, HIV, AIDS, Parkinson's disease, post-traumatic stress, and whatever we want. In fact, a lot of states actually have the verbiage that whatever the director of the Department of Health deems reasonable can be added to the amendment, and hopefully that will be added. So as new conditions, as we're aware of new conditions that might respond to medical marijuana, they would be added to Senate Bill 1030. But the issue is, it needs to be added to the legislative process with law enforcement, physician input, pharmacy input, nursing input, attorney input. You know, the right people have the right input in Tallahassee, and that's how laws should be passed, and that's how laws should be amended.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a whole host of diseases and ailments that we're just on the brink of discovering what this plant can do. Probably a lot of you don't know, but inside our bodies right now, we each harbor the receptor sites for cannabinoids. These receptor sites are in multiple areas within our body. It's kind of as if when God made us, He made the plant and He made us at the same time. Cannabis has been used for over 10,000 years. It wasn't really until, you know, the mid-century that we decided that because of, you know, regulatory statutes that this wasn't anything that was medicinally appropriate. And that was human intervention. You know, cannabis had been used for over 10,000 years. Many, many cultures used it because they had nothing else to use. And the effects of the cannabis, it worked on people. Only did, you know, when human beings decided that it needed to be a Schedule I without really even any documentation to say that it was a very dangerous drug. And we know really now it's not a dangerous drug. Patients are using it with a lot of success for many ailments. You know, somebody was asking, you know, how many of them? I have a list here: cancer, AIDS, arthritis, Parkinson's, seizures, epilepsy, Dravet syndrome, wasting syndrome, nausea, vomiting, glaucoma, PTSD, Alzheimer's, obesity, Tourette's, mental illness, heart disease, autoimmune diseases, psychosis, insomnia, fibromyalgia, Crohn's, irritable bowel, colitis, Crohn's, hepatitis C. The list goes on and on and on. So we're just now on the brink of knowing specifically what this drug can do. And I would urge us just to keep an open mind. We know that it even holds certain properties that it could cure cancer. The research, it's there.
The roadmap is there. We laid out the types of debilitating illnesses. We told you what they were. HIV, you know what that is? Cancer, you ever had that? ALS, you're looking at it. We know what it is. It's debilitating illnesses. It's people who are fighting for their lives. It's for people who are trying to hang on. That's what it is. You know, Dr. Dakich, his name's hard to pronounce. Dakich, I'm not from here. He says, you know, crooked doctors can do crooked things. Of course they can. Crooked cops can do crooked things. Crooked lawyers can do crooked things. Dr. Dakich, people can go in his clinic and they give a subjective, I'm in pain. And guess what? Nothing objective, they get shot up based on subjective complaints. And by the way, there's a lot of money in it. That little vial, that little shot that he sticks in there, those trigger points, he makes a fortune. And there's no objective findings. I'm in pain. And guess what? They lay down and they get shot up. What's worse? This is our body. We don't need the government telling us what to do with our body. We're worried about hurting ourselves with marijuana when the pharmaceutical industries are going to lose billions and billions and billions of dollars. The injections that he gives won't be given anymore, and he'll be out a lot of money. And I don't know who pays this woman a salary. I have no idea. But somebody is. Somebody funds it. Somebody funds it. And it's the people who have billions of dollars at stake. This is our body. This is our country. Our body belongs to us. We'd give our dogs medical marijuana if they were hurt.
To be fair, I must say that Ben Pilara, the campaign manager for United for Care, is also paid.
To be even more fair, Ben Pilara wanted to come to the news press to meet before the editorial was done, and they said, "Don't bother coming, we've made up our mind."
That's not true, Mr. Morgan. Ben was here. Ben was here with his staff.
But he was
We met. No, if you're going to make a statement, make sure it's true. Okay? You said he did not come here.
No,
he said. No, you're going to sit down right now because I've got the mic. And you're going to shut up.
No,
we're not going to have. You don't think he came here and
He
talked
came
to
here
me?
and said, "No, you don't need to come. I've made up my mind."
No, that's not true.
That is true.
That isn't true.
Why don't you? I'll do this. I'll pay for you to take the polygraph, and I'll pay for Ben to take it.
Sit down, blowhard.
Inaccuracy. It's going to get back to the questions now. And here's what we're not going to do.
I don't think you're a good representative of this news press. Your boss is now taking you down. Your boss is taking you down.
We do ask all of us to stick to what we know and what we might believe, but we need to hear other opinions if that belief is being challenged. And let's do that in a productive, respectful manner. If we can't be respectful, let's just shut it down now. Can we be respectful?
Yes,
All of us? Please do that, and Mary, please continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. Dr. Deitch, I think you were going to answer that first.
You refer to your handouts here. You'll have them on your chair. If you look under definitions on the left page, B, and then you go to 1, it says debilitating conditions, which means cancer, glaucoma, positive status for HIV, AIDS, hepatitis C, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Crohn's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis. But people, the next few words are critical. It says, or other conditions for which a physician believes that the medical use of marijuana would likely outweigh the potential health risks. We've already said that from a cardiovascular standpoint, marijuana is very safe, okay? But we did say that from a there are some psychological issues as well. But the issue is when it says, for other conditions for which a physician believes the medical use of marijuana will likely outweigh potential health benefits, that